The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Advice was given earlier last month by a retired chartered accountant regarding the course of action the government should take in establishing the Sovereign Wealth Fund. You'll be hearing from him during the course of our program this afternoon. And there's some warnings coming from various players in St. Lucia. And we'll be hearing from a regional leader. And that individual says, I don't mind losing my U.S. visa. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, and that is NewsSpin on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the NewsSpin Facebook page. Do not forget as well, we're on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button. We go up until 2 o'clock this afternoon. You'll be called later at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And Amanda will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. My name is Timothy Poleon. Hope you're having yourself an enjoyable Thursday and hope you will enjoy today's broadcast as well. Mr. Richard Pitterkin, a retired chartered accountant, spoke with us on the 5th of last month regarding plans by the government of St. Lucia to establish a sovereign wealth fund. And I posed several questions to him, in particular, the necessity for there to be the necessary checks and balances to ensure that the SWF would be conducted in a manner that certainly would ensure that it is properly policed. Checks and balances and transparency. So you'll be hearing from him in just a moment. And very interesting what he has to say on this issue. Because I do not want the message to be lost in the usual talk of politics, of people just against Philip J. Pierre and the fact that he's a little black boy from Marchand. And he's now the finance minister and presiding over the financial resources of the state. That's not what it's all about. And sometimes we have to carefully analyze a discussion and the various comments that are being made without seeing other things that really are not warranted. And that will only murky the waters and complicate the issues. And as we heard from the Prime Minister during the debate on this Sovereign Wealth Fund this week in the island's parliament, not everything we have to politicize. And we have gone through a lot over the last few decades as far as not policing our affairs, as far as not putting in place the necessary safeguards. So if we are not aware of those things before, we have had several experiences in the recent past that certainly would dictate that we learn from those things. And I readily suspect that those people who are in authority or taking umbrage when such issues are raised, it's primarily because it's not their money. They don't care. I mean, they can subject the finances of the state to the possibility of money is being embezzled and money is being lost and misappropriated and misspent, etc., etc. But we all know those people do a lot better when it comes to both the utilization and also the investing of their finances, ensuring that there are checks and balances and things of that nature. But across the board, we have to ensure that there is due diligence when it comes to the finances of the state. And you, the people of St. Lucia, whether you're a supporter of the UWP or the SLP or no party at all, you have to try in such circumstances, particularly, to be as dispassionate as possible. Instead of looking at those individuals who are making those comments, why not pay attention to what they are saying? So let us listen to, in such instances, the much maligned leader of the opposition and former finance minister, Mr. Alan Shastey. Remember, you want to stay with this broadcast to hear what Mr. Peterkin has to say as far as ensuring that there is the checks and balances and due diligence when it comes to the management of a sovereign wealth fund. But first, let us listen to the leader of the opposition, Mr. Alan Shastey, speaking on yesterday's NewsSpin broadcast.
First issue that I have is to ask, why are we doing this? Because if you have an economic fund, and we've agreed that the CIP money is supposed to go in there, right? The things that the Prime Minister says that are the intentions of the fund. So it says here, the purpose of the fund is to increase savings to build national resilience in accordance with the climate change adaptation policy. So the World Bank and the IMF have said that countries like St. Lucia, small island developing states, should have in reserve 4% to 8% of their GDP set aside in case you have a catastrophe, whether it be COVID, whether it be a hurricane. So you don't have to borrow money, right, to resolve the problem. 4% would be about $110 million. 8% would be about $220 million US dollars, is what you should have in reserve. And the Economic Fund was doing that. The Economic Fund held the money, so it didn't become part of the consolidated money. So it was not being used to pay salaries. It's not being used to pay utilities. It's not create a false impression of wealth within the country, all right? And more importantly, it said that if in fact you were going to use the money, you had to use the money either to reduce the debt of St. Lucia, because that would be of a significant help, or you can lend money to government agencies that are undertaking infrastructure work. So if we believe for resilience building that we have to build a bigger dam, if we believe that we have to build deeper drains, if we believe that we should put utility wires underground, whatever we think that are capital projects to help mitigate against the impact of a hurricane, those monies could be used either in the form of a grant to government or in the form of a loan, of a soft loan to government. Because by making it a loan, Tim, it means the value of the wealth of that money remains. Okay, and you're actually using that now. All those mechanisms were there. So number one can be achieved. The number two was fund social and economic development in accordance with climate change adaptation. Again, the money was there. Once government identified what those programs were, there was nothing that was stopping you or preventing you from accessing the funds with the approval of those board members, okay, to do that work. The next one was to support the development objectives of government, including the long-term economic and social development of St. Lucia. The Economic Fund can achieve that easily. Now, the government has now chosen, and that's what I have an issue with, Why would we now take the money from the economic fund? Because that's what this bill is saying. That they're going to take the money from the economic fund and put it now into the sovereign fund. Okay? To a new entity. And listen to this. There's going to be 9 board members. And every single board member is going to be nominated and approved based on the advice of the minister.
And that would be the Minister of Finance.
Correct. And in this case, the author of this sovereign bill is Wayne Gerard, who is in the Ministry of Finance. So every time I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at Philip Pierre, I'm looking at Wayne Gerard as being the person who is going to select all 9 board directors.
And what is wrong with that?
Well, let me say this to you. Then there is a corporate secretary. The corporate secretary, I can go to it here. Corporate secretary, committees. Sorry, Tim. I want to make sure I read it correctly. The corporate secretary is selected on the advice of the minister. Right? Then there is what's called a custodian. And the custodian is selected on the advice of the minister. Then there is an investment manager. And the investment manager is selected on the advice of the minister. Now, when this says the advice, it means there's no consultation. Whoever the minister tells you, that's who you put. Okay? Now, the Prime Minister, spoke about the Santiago Protocol for Sovereign Wealth Funds. So there was a big international meeting which established some basic criteria that you should have in place. And one of them is checks and balances. So here it is, the 4 sets of people that are supposed to be watching over each other are all appointed by the same person. All by the same person.
You just heard there from the leader of the opposition during an appearance on yesterday's NewsSpin program, Mr. Alan Shastney. Also calling the broadcast, Chartered Accountant Mr. Frank Myers made some observations.
Have you ever heard of the One Malaysia Development Limited? Have you ever
No, I haven't. I haven't, sir.
That was a sovereign wealth fund that was created by the government of Malaysia back in 2009 with the strategic the strategic intention of promoting economic development in Malaysia through global partnerships and foreign direct investment. That sovereign wealth fund, in actual fact, right now, is infamous for the extent of the massive corruption and money laundering. To the extent that the Prime Minister of Malaysia, I think, is now in jail somewhere because of all the corruption that stemmed from that. And that corruption stemmed from the massive insufficient attention to pay to internal controls and governance. And I don't think that we should not look at these things when we speak about things like that. Now, this thing started in 2009, and the only way it broke in 2015, I think, was when that fund missed a payment of $550 million, and then all sort of, like, if you want to put it crudely, all hell broke loose. Because this thing eventually spread right across the world. There was involvement in offshore companies in the BVI, in Switzerland, in America. The Department of Justice kicked in. There was a massive scandal. A lot of the funds were used to purchase luxury goods, private jets, jewelry. Everything went where the money shouldn't have gone. And I think that we have to learn from these things when we come across situations when we have sovereign wealth funds being created. Now, when you look at that fund, there are some things in there called red flags, which is some things that a lot of people here seem to avoid addressing. And the red flags are, one of the major red flags is the total control, if you will, over the management structure of the entity by one person. the Minister of Finance. And if you put that in a corporate sense, if you have a managing director or chairman of a board who has that kind of control over an entity, it is a huge red flag. And there's another massive corruption scandal that took place a few years ago, and that is Enron. Because Enron was dominated by that particular CEO, and we all know where Enron went. Even an accounting firm got blown away in the midst of the scandal. So we know we cannot just walk away from these so-called red flags.
If I can ask you one question, sir. If I remember correctly, in the Malaysian scenario that you've given, the same Minister of Finance appointed the custodian, and the custodian was his son-in-law.
It was and that's another sort of red flag we're talking about. When we have this intertwining of offices with family, we have a serious issue there.
You just heard there from Chartered Accountant Mr. Frank Meyer speaking during yesterday's NewsSpin broadcast. Now, on the 5th of last month, ahead of this bill, Sovereign Wealth Fund, being tabled in the island's parliament, I spoke with retired Chartered Accountant Mr. Richard Pittikin, and during my conversation with him, I did pose a particular question. In the interest of transparency, do you think that there's a possibility, all things considered in St. Lucia, because we've had our experiences over several years now, that this system can be abused if there isn't the necessary checks and balances? Another set of people can garner wealth through this Sovereign Wealth Fund, all in the name of investing our resources on behalf of the people of St. Lucia.
There will always be risks, if there are insufficient checks and balances. And the checks and balances in this instance, so bear in mind, okay, it's part of the budget, but the decision as to how money is spent is not entirely up to the minister. It's up to a board. So now the next question is, okay, who appoints the board? And that would more than likely be government. And then, are the people appointed independent and reliable and people that know what to do? And so they won't just make decisions to spend the money vaiki-vai, and not in accordance with the objectives that are being set up here. So that's the risk. So the question is, and that is not addressed, it doesn't say how the board is going to be set up. My own feeling is that what this board should include, obviously members of government or somebody from government, somebody from the opposition, somebody from the private sector that is familiar with the whole question of investment of money, and others that people will feel comfortable that they can look after, what may well be the money of the people of St. Lucia. And if that is done, then people may have a little more confidence that this, in fact, is not going to be money that is going to spend on, irrelevant things or things that do not benefit the country as a whole.
Can we play this again? Then pay attention. Mr. Richard Pittikin, retired Chartered Accountant. In the interest of transparency, do you think that there's a possibility, all things considered in St. Lucia, because we've had our experiences over several years now, that this system can be abused if there isn't the necessary checks and balances? Another set of people can garner wealth through this Sovereign Wealth Fund, all in the name of investing our resources on behalf of the people of St. Lucia.
There will always be risks, if there are insufficient checks and balances. And the checks and balances in this instance, so bear in mind, okay, it's part of the budget, but the decision as to how money is spent is not entirely up to the minister. It's up to a board. So now the next question is, okay, who appoints the board? And that would more than likely be government. And then, are the people appointed independent and reliable and people that know what to do? And so they won't just make decisions to spend the money vaiki-vai, and not in accordance with the objectives that are being set up here. So that's the risk. So the question is, and that is not addressed, it doesn't say how the board is going to be set up. My own feeling is that what this board should include, obviously members of government or somebody from government, somebody from the opposition, somebody from the private sector that is familiar with the whole question of investment of money, and others that people will feel comfortable that they can look after, what may well be the money of the people of St. Lucia. And if that is done, then people may have a little more confidence that this, in fact, is not going to be money that is going to spend on, irrelevant things or things that do not benefit the country as a whole.
Retired Chartered Accountant Mr. Richard Peterkin speaking with me during a February 5th edition of NewsSpin. Time now to hear from you at 452-2979, 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, again, 716-2026. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room. Good afternoon to you, Amanda.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, NewsSpinners. A few comments from me. Someone says there, only one person approving the entire board. Another comment reads, that's what is going on with Labour supporters. They just support things without understanding it because it is their PM doing it. Someone says there they do not want to use the economic funds because there are checks and balances in place. But that new one, they have full control and no checks and balances, and they answer to no one. Okay then. A commentary reads, the jobs for the boys. Instead of cutting back on spending, more boards are being added on the backs of St. Lucians. That's it for now, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda. We have a WhatsApp message, and it reads, I believe the Sovereign Wealth Fund is something good, and like everything else can be beneficial depending on how well it is administered/managed. There may also be specific rules that will be tied to that type of fund that may be different to those governing the use of the economic fund being mentioned by the leader of the opposition. The issue of checks and balances is tied to the character of our people, and in brackets, culture, socialization, how we view money, etc. Let me see if I have any more of your WhatsApp messages. Somebody says there, the Santiago Principles are a set of 24 voluntary guidelines designed to ensure transparency, accountability, and sound governance in the management of sovereign wealth funds, SWFs. They were established by the International Forum of Sovereign Wealth Funds in 2008 to promote best practices in investment decision-making, risk management, and public accountability. Key principles of the Santiago Principles: legal framework and governance. SWF should have a clear legal structure, governance framework, and operational independence from political influence. Let's see if we have a call on the landline as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air. Okay, we have lost that call. We will try again to see if we have a call on the broadcast at 452-2979. Good afternoon, you're on the air.
Hey.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes, Tim. Tim, I would like to just big up Tikaro, the teacher at the REC there. He's the one that is vying for Castries South. I must tell you that we're happy that he's the one that will be coming up against the incumbent for Castries South there. He's a guy that, he goes out for people, man. Honestly, he goes out. He worries about people's problems. He looks to how it's best to remedy. I am actually seeing this guy give people money, to help them out, You understand? And he actually has the interest of the people at heart. Most times he talks about what he's willing to do for the youth of the area. Again, these are the kind of people we need. I mean, I have 4 people in my household here, and all 4 have his support there. We willing to vote for him. And even the neighbors. You understand? He has heart, and he wants to do something for the people. You understand? And I'm very happy that he's going up. I'm happy. I'm Tim.
Okay. Let's wait to get confirmation from the United Workers Party, because it's the first time I'm hearing this, and it is from you, caller. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, and we'll be hearing from an individual. No doubt, this is beyond any kind of doubt. And that is Mr. Elwin St. Rose. He has confirmed that indeed he will be contesting the Ancillary Cannery seat as an independent candidate in the upcoming general election. He was on Newsmaker Live last evening, and we'll be hearing from him in just a moment. But let's see if we have a call on the landline at 452-2979. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Somebody says, Tim, I am understanding correctly that the government don't have full access to the economic fund. Opposition have some say. The Sovereign Wealth Fund will only be the approval of their people. We need to stop these solutions. They probably want access to the money before election. We have a call. We lost the call, okay. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Tell this guy T. Caro is not the candidate for Castries South. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message to go through. Let's find out what's happening with the chat room. Amanda, good afternoon to you again.
A few comments. It reads, is this necessary at a time when we are having road cuisine? Someone says there, the name Wayne Girard alone is already a red flag. A commentary reads, we don't have enough hospital beds, bad roads, a nasty city, etc. But we will get a sovereign wealth fund. What a wow. And that's it for now.
Thank you so much. Let's see if you have another call at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Tim, I'm hearing about another independent candidate. Supposing they go, 17 of them decide to go independent. When they win, what party are they going to join? That's what we want to know. Thank you. Are they going to do like King and Frederick?
Well, I mean, it's their prerogative if they want to join the governing party. But if all 17 are independents, then what they can do is to come together and form the government. That's what they have to do.
Okay.
Because as long as among the 17, 9 of them, one individual, would command the support of at least 9 of the winning independent candidates, then they can form the government.
Okay, Tim.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see if we have another call on the landline at 452-2979. And remember, you could also send me your WhatsApp messages, and from time to time, Amanda will be going through some of the comments in the chat room. Hello, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hey, Brother Timmy.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yeah, Golden Dragon here. I want you to let Mr. Elvin St. Rose know that he can run that seat for the People's National Movement. So I have nobody for that area.
Caller, is that comedy?
So
No, hold on, caller. Hold on.
Run that seat for the People's
Is that,
Movement.
caller, let's be serious, man. Is that comedy? Don't subject me to comedy, sorry.
Mr. Poleon,
No.
Poleon, Timothy.
All right. Here's what to do, caller. Here's what to do.
Timmy, hold on.
You hold on. Please, don't tell me hold on. Don't tell me hold on.
Hold on.
Here's what you can do. Call Mr. Elwin St. Rose and...
What's his number?
No, find it somewhere. If you eager enough, you can find Mr. St. Rose's number.
For the People's National Movement. Timmy, listen. Timmy, next Thursday, okay? Timothy.
I'm there. Caller, I'm there.
Next Thursday at 9 o'clock, I'll be on DBS with Lisa Joseph, okay? Because Vincent Bain Nathaniel is the leader of the People's National Movement. So far we have 10 members, 3 lawyers, 2 doctors, myself, 2 ladies in that 10.
And you have a psychiatrist there as well?
You have a what?
A psychiatrist.
No, we don't have a psychiatrist.
Okay,
that could be you. But anyhow, Timmy, this I promise you, Timmy, that when the next election is called, and from what I'm hearing, it's going to be called in July. July is this year. From what I'm hearing, it's going to be called in July 2025. I saw my good friend, Mr. Kazimi, working hard last night with 8 of his key members in his area of Grocery. They had a meeting last night. I won't tell you where. And let me tell you, Timmy, I'll bet you today $5,000. I will bet you, Timmy, $5,000 the election is in July 2025, in a few months' time. Okay? Mark my words that Vincent Bain Nathaniel, the Golden Dragon, said election will be held in July this year. It's already, they're already doing all the strategy. Every member of the party is doing all the strategy, getting all the teams together. Okay? And that is serious. And like I tell you, there'll be 3 teams. There'll be the SLP, the UWP, and the PNM, the People's National Movement. We'll be using the color green. Initially, I had the color violet because there's a team down, Mr. DeCaris down in Denry had a team, and they're using the green. But now they've cancelled the team, so now I can use the green. And I prefer the green than the violet color. But I'd have to use the violet if the green was still held by Mr. DeCaris, but he's not. He has cancelled. So using green, and the same symbol I used in 1997 when I ran a 4-corner fight in Castries South. Lawson Cauldron, John Odlum, Jason Braffett, and myself, Vincent Bin Nathaniel. 4 corner fight, John Odom won. That's when Kenny gave us 16-1. Yeah? So I'll be using that same symbol. It's called the Scout handshake, which is the left hand shaking. So it's the Scout handshake, the left hand, not the right hand. So color green, Scout handshake, People's National Movement. And imagine to me, this is the same name. I didn't even know that. When I configured that name, I didn't realize that is the same name of the ruling government in Trinidad and Tobago. Their team is called the People's National Movement.
Yeah, but this party has been on over several decades. That's the party of the late Sir Eric Williams. And you're not aware that party has been in existence, sir?
Very correct. You're very correct on that.
I'm just saying, and you're not aware that party has been in existence?
I never
for so long?
I never knew there was a People's National Movement anywhere in the world, my brother.
I think since the 1960s, eh?
To me, I don't follow Trinidad politics, you know. The only thing I follow is St. Lucia, USA, and England politics.
And you want to be the Prime Minister of St. Lucia?
Well, I will be. I will be the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia.
Okay.
I will be.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Let's find out what's happening in the chat room. Amanda.
NewsSpin says it will get worse when the CIP passport holders become their masters. I hope they know these people have a right to vote. Money makes the stallions fly. Another comment reads, just like everything else, the Sovereign Wealth Fund is at the mercy of dishonest politicians. Someone says there are only independent candidates. The only independent candidate I will approve is APA. I don't trust no one else that's running independent in St. Lucia. And that's it for now.
Thank you so much. And APA says that he will be contesting the VA4 South seat, God spare, during the upcoming general election. WhatsApp message. I noticed some repainting of the pedestrian crossings in the city and other road markings that were very faded, and I was happy to see this effort. I hope the authorities continue to maintain road safety markings in a consistent manner. It is not only for the locals, but also for the safety of tourists who hire rentals all the time, but are not familiar with our roads. I also want to quickly appeal to the women of St. Lucia to please be very careful in your selection of male partners, boyfriends, lovers, and husbands. Not to victim blame, but I think the women here are getting involved with some very dangerous men, throwing all red flags to the wind once they see money flashing in front of their faces. Ladies, let us prioritize our safety and look past the sweet talks and empty promises of the men out there. Take your time. You will find the right one. And that was a WhatsApp message. Okay, let me see if I have any of your messages. Somebody says, Tim, the psychiatrist, kill me with Golden Dragon. Do we have any more of your WhatsApp messages? Let's take a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. Good afternoon. You are on the air.
Finally.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
I see that platform not working again.
It's working.
Good afternoon, you and your co-host.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, caller.
So, I need to say something because I am kind of getting sick and tired of the type of politics that we play. And somebody reminded me yesterday that what he's seeing happening today. You remember the politics between political style between what is it? The Odlums and Sicilian, these people.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's what the person telling me they're seeing today. And you know that's a reality. But Tim, hold on. But I heard somebody told me about Sean Edwards and the statement that he made regarding Alan Shastney being a hater of progress.
No. What he said is that any young person who joins the Shastney train, basically they are against progress.
Okay. So let me just say a few things on that. If you know, Shastney and people who are joining him are against progress, are you saying that when Shastney brought those 2 call centers in the South, employing so many young people, hundreds of young people, that was against progress? Are you saying that when Shastney came into Mikud South, and he developed the entire community, okay, bringing new roads where since John Compton days, those roads were in a deplorable state. Okay, are you saying that's against progress? Are you saying that he's against progress when he built those new community centers that the Labour Party have refused to open up to today? After 4 years in Blanchard, you have one in PIE, I understand in Guy's constituency, you have another one and maybe other places. Are you telling me that he was against progress when he refurbished almost every health center, wellness center on the island and built some new ones, including in Micoud and in Slurry, I believe, in Dominic's constituency and others? You understand? Was he against progress then? Was he against progress when he built that state-of-the-art building for St. Jude's, and now the Labour Party believe that's too big for us, so they're going back to the chicken coop? Was he against progress, okay, when he have been standing up all alone, making sure that we, the people of Micoud South, are well represented to the point that they want to silence him in the House? Okay, is he against progress for asking for checks and balances in the CIP and now that fund that they want to implement? That is what you call against progress? I need to ask the Labour Party, what are the progress? Where are the progress that they want to speak of today? Can they point out anything meaningful that has created job in this country? I see a post about, they put underneath their page about some 8.8% unemployment, team. Where did that came from? Where are those jobs, team? There's nothing new. Okay, maybe a few little things they do here and there apart from step. Where are those jobs, team, to bring it so low? So what is in our heads in this country? Quand go moun nearby ka di kakal baski en tête moi. Tout moun ka wè pa ni to high pièce côté. Un pou ka struggle ay boshi me, ou ka wè misère pour ça vendre ça ou ka vendre. Ou ka vinn di moi Alan against progress. Le Alan, le en bas Alan. I am somebody who might like to work for myself. You understand me? When I am applying my trade and you see I go by the road and I trying to do what I have to do to make my money. Underneath Alan, I was thriving him. Because everybody had $1 to spare. Everybody had an extra $1 to spend. People used to come by me, now makavan moulon team. Ma membe moulon, me sa mama isa, me na gen by madam moi. Na gen by girlfriend moi. You understand? Now, soit les boshi me van moulon ka si an lo avant vin van team. Tout sa ou ka van ka gatan lo avant sa vin van boshi. Because people not working. Where are those jobs that they are talking about with all the money that they are collecting? The 2.5%, the $16.50 on gas. Okay, the $36 on LPG. Where is all that money going to, team? You understand me? And you telling me Alan is against progress when underneath Alan, everything was cheaper. Everything was cheaper. Yet still, cost of living was higher in other countries. Oil was higher everywhere. You understand? And yet still we were able to put a cap on it down here too, so that people will have more money in their pocket. And you're talking about against progress? Tim, have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you so much for calling. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It's still to come. An individual says he wants to contest a seat on the island's west coast as an independent candidate. Please stay with us.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Lazarus's funeral home is here for you. Lazarus's private cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's private cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbutay at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucilex remote options are available to serve you every weekday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Call or send a WhatsApp message to 285-6796, 285-7859, 285-3593, or send an email to customersupport@lucelec.com for assistance. Lucelec encourages you to use the available options for doing business with us remotely.
I've seen you here before, and I have something special just for you. What have we here? Happy housewarming to me? That's the MNC Home Depot Rewards Card. You'll earn points every time you shop, plus exclusive savings and promotions just for you. Just for me? Yes, just for you. Shop in store or online and enjoy a seamless experience. So I get to treat myself every time I shop? Exactly. It's time to reward yourself.
MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt Rewards Card. Sign up and reward yourself today at www.mnchomedepot.com.
And you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Are you tired of going from doctor to doctor, spending time and money, yet still not getting the answers you need? Now, at La Clinique du Corps Diagnostic Center of Excellence, we bring you the latest in medical technology, our state-of-the-art radiation-free full-body MRI. With unmatched accuracy, we can detect illnesses early, giving you the answers you deserve and the treatment you need, saving lives and saving money. No doctor referral needed. Results in just 24 to 48 hours. Plus, a free consultation with a doctor to explain all your results in detail. Don't wait. Take advantage of this special offer and book your full body MRI at our Cocoville, Rodney Bay, or Castries locations. Call 451-6559 now. La Clinique du Corps. Your health is our priority.
Don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vidbutay. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of a secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Monitored talk show in the world. A regional prime minister says that they do not mind, they are prepared to have the U.S. visa revoked over Cuba's health program. Let's hear from that individual.
This matter with the Cubans and the nurses should tell us everything that we need to know. Barbados does not currently have Cuban medical staff or Cuban nurses, but I will be the first to go to the line and to tell you that we could not get through the pandemic without the Cuban nurses and the Cuban doctors. I will also be the first to tell you that we paid them the same thing that we pay Bajans, and that the notion, as was peddled not just by this government in the US, but the previous government, that we were involved in human trafficking by engaging with the Cuban nurses was fully repudiated and rejected by us. Now, I don't believe that we have to shout across the seas, but I am prepared, like others in this region, that if we cannot reach a sensible agreement on this matter, then if the cost of it is the loss of my visa to the US, then so be it. But what matters to us is principles. And I have said over and over that principles only mean something when it is inconvenient to stand by it. Now, we don't have to shout, but we can be resolute. And I therefore look forward to standing with my CARICOM brothers. I wish I could say brothers and sisters, but brothers, to be able to ensure that we explain that what the Cubans have been able to do for us, far from approximating itself to human trafficking, has been to save lives and limbs and sight for many a Caribbean person.
Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, do you think that the Prime Minister of St. Lucia should be so resolute as to take a principled position on this matter to the extent that he does not mind losing his U.S. visa? What about other government ministers? Cuba's success, despite the economic embargo imposed on that Caribbean country since 1962, is something that we'll pay attention to right now via a clip that I stumbled upon, and certainly it is worth paying attention to.
Cuba is poor. It's a failed communist state. Really? You would be poor too if you were under a 60-year economic blockade, labeled as a terrorist supporter for daring to be socialist, and hit with endless sanctions. But despite all that, Cuba still outperforms the US in key areas. Like what? Last time I checked, people were trying to escape to Miami, not Havana. That's cute. But let's talk fact, not feelings. Here's how Cuba, a tiny socialist nation under siege, stacks up against the almighty capitalist United States. Do you have time? Yeah. Imagine being the richest country in the world and getting beaten by a country that you tried to start for 6 decades. I guess socialist laziness doesn't apply when everyone has a job, right? Hundreds of thousands sleeping on the streets in the land of freedom, while Cuba, under embargo, ensures everyone has a home. In the US, getting sick equals bankruptcy. In Cuba, getting sick equals free treatment. Remind me again, which system keeps people uneducated? Cuba has 3 times more doctors per capita than the US. That's why Cuba sends doctors to other countries while the US sends bombs. Cuba, despite its embargo, has a lower infant mortality rate than the US. What's your excuse? More people die for malnutrition in the US than in Cuba. Let that sink in. Maybe you should worry less about socialist crimes and more about why the US cities look like war zones. Capitalism hoards wealth at the top while socialism makes sure that its people doesn't starve on the streets. Which one sounds better? One exports war, the other exports doctors. Guess which one is called a terrorist? Hold on. Cuba has done all that under an embargo? Yep. Now imagine what it could do if it weren't being strangled by capitalism. Damn. I never knew about that. That's because capitalism feeds you propaganda. But hey, welcome to the fucking reality. Wow. I have a lot to think.
Let's take a call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon.
Hi. Welcome to the... Yeah, hi Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Yeah, I have to agree with that video you just played there. And also, you know, you took the words or the question out of my mouth when you asked whether or not our Prime Minister will stand in solidarity with the Cubans like the rest of the region. Because it's not only Mia Mottley, I think Ralph Gonzalez.
Yes.
he issued a statement.
And
I think
Dr.
the one in
Rowley.
Trinidad.
And Dr. Rowley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but look at how the colonialists operate. Look at what Britain has done to Trinidad. I don't know if you want to call it, a tug of war, but that's a form of retaliation by restricting their visas, right?
Yes.
And this is exactly what we're facing. We're facing sticking with our friends for the past 200-300 years from times of colonialism, or sticking with the U.S. So where's our sovereignty? Where are the leaders that we have in our country to speak out again?
Not this
in
crop
solidarity with the Cubans.
With the exception of people like Rowley and Mia Motley. Forget about the others standing up to those forms of injustices. In 53 years ago, right, you had a number of Caribbean leaders, the likes of Manley. You had in Jamaica, in the case of Trinidad and Tobago, you had the Prime Minister of Barbados, Barrow, among others, standing up to the Americans, because you know what? Just after those countries became independent, the Americans did not want them, along with the OAS and other institutions, to establish diplomatic relations with Cuba. But they decided to go against this challenge that was put to them by the United States to maintain their independence.
Yeah. Well, Tim, we have a lot of things that, our leaders are not addressing in this island. We have this thing going on between Venezuela and Guyana. It's still going on. We also have the fact that Donald Trump has canceled the contract of ExxonMobil, which saw some form of relief to the Venezuelans by drilling and by exporting some oil. And it's also going to affect Trinidad. So this is economic warfare being taking place right here in the Caribbean. Just because we want to side with maybe Russia or China or even BRICS, because Cuba became a member of BRICS, and maybe that's why they've been targeting Cuba. So another thing, Tim, there is an inflation that is coming when it comes to our freight. The Trump administration has implemented a $1.5 million tariff on any Chinese manufactured vessel coming into the US, right? So, and the thing is that China manufactures most of our vessels. So a lot of our popular brands, a lot of our popular vessels which come into St. Lucia are being manufactured, their vessels are manufactured in China. So imagine every ship that comes or calls into the US has to pay that $1.5 million, and they pass that on to the consumers. What is the ripple effect in? High food prices, high commodity prices, just like the time of COVID. Remember when there was what was it, 400, almost 500% increase in freight because of this whole logistical nightmare. Yeah. So we are expecting a lot of problems, a lot of high food prices, a lot of inflation, and the politicians are not talking about that. Anyway, just wanted to give that statistic. You could look it up for yourself. It's not propaganda or conspiracy. This is just taking place, and it's going to affect everybody because they're going to pass on the buck to the consumers. Give thanks to them.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. Those are not the issues that our leaders wanted to address. They want to address things that would titillate you, that would entertain you, but not to those real issues that would have a detrimental impact on you. Because if they address those issues, you'll be asking them what they intend to do to cushion the negative impact. Amanda, what's happening in the chat room?
And NewsSpin says there is a good thing. It's a good thing the young people are smarter now and do not just listen to cheap talk. They want action and they want it now. So they do not have time for empty promises and cheap politics. Do better by the people and you won't have to lie. Now the commentary reads, the social caller. And now they are boasting the unemployment rate has reduced. Shake my head, they passing step as unemployment. Someone says there, 15 wellness centers were upgraded by the last administration. I'm subjected to correction with regards to the figure. A commentary reads, the same Sean who agreed with Shastly COVID policies when things were hot. That Sean? And NewsSpinner says there, my problem with the people Like, my problem with people like Mr. Centros, considering their level of experience, qualifications, confidence, etc., I would have expected him to come and form his own party. It is one thing to talk and brag about qualifications in advanced degrees and all other things. I need to see those people in performance mode. Come and show people like me you have the aptitude, you're a guru in implementation, and your level of execution is second to none. Talk is cheap, but your action will show me the metal you are made of. It seems to me going up as an independent is one of the easiest ways to crawl without much effort in being part of the government. Interesting times ahead, and trust me, look out for more independence. Another comment reads, Sean is just saying anything to win his seat. That is his habit, spinning lies. What's about his promise to the prisoners? Someone says here, no more raise your voice, no more concerned citizens, no more pan beating, no more good roads. All St. Lucia have is useless government ministers in 2025. And another comment here reads, why do so-called developing countries who have the money at their disposal still have to depend on Cuba, a financially deprived country, for nurses and doctors? That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Amanda. We're looking forward to some more updates from you regarding the behavior, the comments of some of the folks who are making contributions in the chat room. Let's see if you have a call on the landline at 452-2979, 452-2979. Remember, you could also send us your WhatsApp messages at 716-2026, and of course your WhatsApp calls via that same number as well. Let me see if I have a WhatsApp message to go through. Somebody says there, Tim, to expand on the caller's comments on inflation relating to the situation there. On the local front, there are many containers getting rental on the wharf because it costs so much now for small business persons to clear their goods. They simply don't have the money to pay the fees. Do we have a call on the landline? I don't think so. 452-2979. We have a call on the WhatsApp platform. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, team.
Yes, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Amanda.
Good afternoon to you, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, team, you know, I am very thankful for, and I think most St. Lucians are, for the Cuban nurses and doctors who did a tremendous job during COVID. When some of our own professionals were hiding from the COVID and were afraid, these people, they worked tirelessly throughout the night and the day. I could tell you that because I worked at Victoria Hospital during the COVID too. And some of these, most of these people worked day and night to save our people. Now, the Americans, what they do, and they take our nurses. For years, our nurses have been migrating to the U.S. They give them a better salary. They give them all of these things. But of course, I must say our governments in the Caribbean must pay the nurses and the doctors better so that they can stay at home and do the job. But during the pandemic, these people worked very, very hard. So I agree with Mia Motley, also Gonzal, and Dr. Rowley in Trinidad and Tobago. I have not heard from our government, but most of our specialists, a lot of our specialists, whether it be in cardiology, whether it be in orthopedics, whether it be in psychiatry, because one of the first in the prisons, in Baudelaire prisons, when we organized the medical unit, the first psychiatrist we had who went over there to assist us with the criminally insane and all of this was a Cuban psychiatrist. So in many of the specialist areas, we have had Cubans, and it's from Jamaica way down to Trinidad. So I don't know what exactly the Americans are talking about, that people are involved in human trafficking, but I think the Cuban nurses and doctors are paid the same salary. And they're even given the opportunity to do extra sessions if they have extra time. So I think if the Americans had asked the assistance of the Cubans, New York would not have suffered so much during the pandemic. The Italians did ask the assistance of the Cubans and had a brigade, or in other words, they had Cuban nurses and doctors during the pandemic and had that situation under control in Italy. And not only that, Cuban doctors have been going to Africa to deal with the Ebola crisis. They go to rural areas in Europe to do all of that. That embargo, where the American embargo on the Cubans, it is unfair. When the Americans are dealing with the Chinese are one of the biggest communist countries in the world, and you have trade with the Chinese, and they refuse to say anything about the Chinese, but they continue to have an embargo on a Caribbean country that is struggling. And these people are trying hard, to get their country moving. So I think it is very unfair, and it is, I'm happy that a few leaders in the Caribbean are brave enough to say that they are happy with what the Cubans have done. But right here in St. Lucia, I'm saying, if the Cubans did not assist us, I do not know what would have happened to our country.
Doc, you're talking about 24,180 Cuban doctors serving in 56 countries worldwide. That speaks volumes. Now, why in the case of St. Lucia, when it matters, particularly on regional issues and to a certain extent on local issues, we do not hear from our leaders? It's a good time to hear from the Prime Minister of this country on this matter,
because
the Health Minister.
Timothy, if I want to say it bluntly, some of our Caribbean leaders have no balls. You understand me? If you're a sovereign state, you're supposed to say what you believe in and what you stand for. And if you have a Caribbean nation going through that kind of stuff and you are getting the assistance from that Caribbean nation, you should stand on principle. Okay? Just like Ralph Gonzalez stood on principle. Our country, because we have benefited from the Cubans. We have benefited let me tell you something. Our government, did they take the time to go through educating all of our people like the Cuban people did? Every Cuban child can go to a university. They can study what they want for free. All right. I am not saying that they have the nicest cars and the nicest houses and so on. But if they were given the equal opportunity to get to what, in other words, without an embargo, I think Cuba would have been another Japan. All right. But the Cubans in Florida, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and these guys, because they're against, it's Cubans versus Cubans. Cubans in the U.S. and Florida, or in the U.S. government against the government of Cuba. But the Cuban people are the ones suffering. You understand me? And they, in spite of an embargo for so many years, they have decided their people are educated, and any child can receive the medical care free of charge. You only have to do a referral to a cardiac hospital or to a nephrology hospital or so, whereby here, you have to spend millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to take care of basic health problems. But the Cuban government, under an embargo, can take care of their health situation. So, I
think we have lost.
They need to stand up.
Okay, Doc. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very well.
All right, just heard there from medical doctor, Dr. Sylvia Wilson. She studied, by the way, in Cuba. Let us hear from Mr. Elwin St. Rose. He says that he will be contesting the ancillary canonry seat as an independent candidate. And he initially wanted to contest that seat on behalf of the United Workers' Party, and he says that the selection process of the UWP, particularly in the treatment that he was meted out to him, is flawed.
I did not always want to run as an independent candidate. I came from a UWP family. And when I wanted to run, I spoke to the United Workers' Party in 2022, a few months after the election of 2021. And I met with party leadership. I expressed my concern. The discussions were warm. I was never told I couldn't participate. Throughout 2023, I was engaging the party. They were telling me what to do to be eligible to be a candidate, to apply to be a candidate. Some of the things I had to do, I had to get my police record. I had to get recommendations from people in the community. My membership was supposed to be up to date. And I had to pay a $500 application fee to candidacy, which I did. I didn't want to run as an independent. I wanted to run under the umbrella of a major political party. But what I found is that the leadership of the party lied to me over and over and over again. They deceived me over and over and over again. And when I asked them questions about what I was hearing on the street that was different from what they were doing, they lied again. They lied again. Let me give you an example. The party told me there was a three-part process. A three-part process to selection. One, the branch, ancillary candidates in my case, had to interview me. Two, I had to make a vision presentation to the branch, tell them who I am, what I plan to do, and things of that nature. And three, I would have had an interview with the national executive. Those three things, that's what the party told me. All along, people were telling me that's never going to happen. I put my name, my credibility, my character on the line for the party against people in my inner circle who were telling me that I'm being bluffed. And I said, no way. I cannot be bluffed because I will always go with what the party told me. They told me they had a process. Cut it fast forward to August 14 of 2024. That's when I was supposed to be interviewed in ancillary candidacies. I was supposed to make my presentation in ancillary candidacies. And by the way, both of those things happened on August 24. But on August 12, I got a call from the party chairman, Mr. Prudent. He told me that before I go to ancillary on the 14th, which was 2 days away, I needed to speak to leadership. I asked him when and how and where. He told me, and 10 o'clock the next day on the 13th of August, I was at the location at Coco Palm and I met with leadership. In that meeting was Mr. Chasney, Mr. Guy Joseph, and Mr. Prudent. Four of us. We sat in the conference room. And Mr. Chasney did most of the talking, and he talked to me. Mr. Chasney told me, in summary, because I can't rehash everything and it's not that necessary, but I'll give you the summary of what he said to me. He said to me, I can go to ancillary if I want to. He cannot tell me not to go. But he wants me to know that Mr. Fede is the candidate. That's before the process started. The party told me there is a process. And before the process started, he told me Mr. Fede is the candidate. I was angry. I was upset. I was disappointed. I didn't say much. I remained professionally calm. When I spoke to the people in my space, my family, you know what they told me? They told me not to go to ancillary, since I already knew what the outcome was. I told them I'm going, because the people who are going to be there to listen to me, who want to meet me, if I don't show up, they'll think I'm a joker. So I went to ancillary. Those same individuals, to include some of my family members, they told me, if you go to ancillary, blast the UWP leadership, expose them. I said, no, I'm not doing that, because if I go there and I do that, people will think I'm angry. I'm a professional person. I'm not going to be angry. I went to ancillary, Mr. Poleon, and I was interviewed. I asked the interviewing committee one question. How serious is this process? And they told me, oh, this is very serious. This is the part, But I knew what I was told at Coco Palm. I got interviewed, and I went to make my presentation, which I did. I heard the feedback of the people who were there. I heard what they said and what they said about who the candidate should be. Nobody in that setting knew what I knew. I never told them what I knew. I went, I did my interview, I answered all the questions, and I went and I made my presentation. And I knew I was not the candidate. What was also interesting, Mr. Poleon, is that Mr. Dominic Fede also went. He got interviewed, and he made a presentation. Now think about this with me for a second, and before the hacks turn on me, think about this for a second. Here I am being told by leadership that Mr. Fede is the candidate, and Mr. Fede is getting interviewed, and he's making a presentation, and I could have taken the word of leadership again and not go. And by now everybody would say, who's this joker guy named St. Rose? But I went, I did what I had to do. Mr. Fede went, he did what he had to do, and that was it. Nobody in the United Workers' Party in leadership has spoken to me since August 13. 7 months tomorrow. Nobody has spoken to me since.
You just heard there from Mr. Elwin St. Rose. Last evening on the Newsmaker Live, he did reveal that he is now contesting the Ancillary Cannery seat as an independent candidate. He feels cheated of an opportunity to present himself as a candidate on the ticket of the United Workers' Party, and he certainly disagrees with the process that was utilized and that resulted in him not being selected or given an opportunity to be selected in the first place. On the line via WhatsApp, we have the chairman of the opposition UWP, Mr. Thurl Prudent. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks for holding on. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, team.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
And thank you to you and your listeners. Last evening, Mr. Elwin St. Rose, appeared on your show, as you just played a while ago, which is the Newsmaker Live, and claimed that he was misled by our party. In a nutshell, he claimed that the process which led to the selection of candidates wasn't adhered to. But I am calling today to set the record straight and to make it clear to all of your listeners that the United Workers' Party did all in its power to accommodate Mr. St. Rose. When we knew that he was not a member of the party, we moved expeditiously to fast-track his membership because based on our constitution, it states that you have to be a financial member for at least 3 months before you can even vie for office in the party or vie for office as a candidate. And we allow this to go through. But I have to say something interesting today to all of the listeners here, and I hope everyone is listening carefully. Prior to all of this, I had a meeting with Mr. St. Rose in my capacity as chairman of the party. And that was in my office in Grosley. He came to visit me with 2 of his brothers. And during that meeting, I was very upfront with him in making it clear to Mr. St. Rose that Dominic Fede was a leading figure within our party, and that his position as one of the 2 deputy political leaders of the United Workers' Party almost guaranteed that he would be selected as the candidate for ancillary canneries. Mr. St. Rose argued, he talked about his first degrees, how qualified he is, and of course I respect that, because of course an achievement by any person that have gone abroad or in St. Lucia where they have attained the first degree, a second degree, advanced degree, you got to compliment that person for that. But he went ahead, and it was his choice to put in an application. Nobody put a gun to his temple. Nobody had him under duress. Nobody said that he couldn't. And so when he decided to go ahead and put in this application, the fact is, we are democracy. So nobody's going to stop you from putting an application, because we've already fast-tracked your membership, gave you membership where you were not even supposed to have become a candidate, a possible candidate for the United Workers' Party. We fast-tracked that for you. But you see, what I don't understand with Mr. Centros is the fact that if now that you claim that you're running as an independent, it still does not invalidate the process, which is the fact that you asked for an interview, you received it, we went all the way. We did everything in our power to try to get you to be a member. But for heaven's sakes, if you decide that you are running for independent, as an independent, and you believe that you can win, go ahead. Nobody is stopping you. But please do not raise this misleading arguments at the expense of the United Workers' Party. Because at the end of the day, you're not just discrediting, you are discrediting yourself as an individual who has placed himself being above board and a guy who seems to be a respectable individual, honest. But when you come with all this cocoa-mackeries and make people believe things that are not true, how do you expect us and the public at large to accept you? In the first place, you came to us because it was his opinion that we needed to remove the Labour Party from office. So you wanted to run on a major party ticket, and so you wanted to remove them from office. Well, that's good, because we both are on the same page. Both you and the UWP are on the same page, in a sense that we are saying that the Labour Party must go. And you do agree, but please do not do those things at the expense of our party. I also wish to address another statement which Mr. Centros raised on your show last evening, and that is that he was summoned to a meeting by the party leadership. This statement is categorically false, as I do have a certain evidence in my possession that would demonstrate that it was Mr. Centros who requested a meeting with the leadership of our party, even before he met with the local branch. Our process says that you submit an application through the local branch, they interview you, you make your presentations before them. After that, they send recommendations to us, the leadership of the party, and we do the due diligence in terms of background check, in terms of interview, and so forth. But Mr. Centros was the one who did not want to go through that process and wanted immediately to meet with the leadership. So we met with him. So I'm hoping that today, with me disclosing that I have information that would suggest that he was the one who requested the meeting with the leadership and not us who asked him to come to us for an interview, that he is honest enough to retract that statement that he made last night. And otherwise, I will be left with absolutely no choice but to release that statement, that evidence, that I have in my possession. Allow me to also say, in my capacity as chairman, that a political organization is entitled to set whatever criteria it deems necessary in terms of the selection of candidates. And that once one has agreed to abide by these categories, they should be honest enough to respect that process. And clearly, it shows that Mr. Centros just wanted to bully his way through a process, ignore the fact that Dominic Fede was the deputy political leader of the party. He was just overwhelmingly re-elected again as deputy political leader of the party, somebody who is potentially a leader for the party in years to come. So what do you do? Do you just distance yourself from Dominic, who has been working, has a track record of service to his community, can show that he as a Minister of Tourism, he was among the best that we had ever seen, and in favor of Mr. St. Rose, who clearly could not prove that he had, apart from being born in ancillary canneries and in millet, had very little connection to the community that he left behind many years ago. I am just saying this not to bash him, but to set the record straight and to say without any shadow of a doubt that this process was fair and that the United Workers' Party continues to stand with Dominic Fede as our choice for the candidate for for ancillary canneries. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Once again, Chairman of the Opposition United Workers' Party, Mr. Thurl Prudent. And this is the statement that Mr. Elwin St. Rose made on the broadcast Newsmaker Live last evening in announcing his candidacy as an independent candidate to contest the ancillary cannery seat in the upcoming general election.
I did not always want to run as an independent candidate. I came from a UWP family. And when I wanted to run, I spoke to the United Workers' Party in 2022, a few months after the election of 2021. And I met with party leadership. I expressed my concern. The discussions were warm. I was never told I couldn't participate. Throughout 2023, I was engaging the party. They were telling me what to do to be eligible to be a candidate, to apply to be.
My apologies, we have already played this statement by Mr. St. Rose, but what we had initially set about doing is to have the actual announcement. He did announce his candidacy during last evening's Newsmaker Live broadcast. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. Still to come, some more of your calls, your WhatsApp messages. We also have our NewsSpin news of the day and the question of the day as well.
Lucilec's remote options are available to serve you every weekday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Call or send a WhatsApp message to 285-6796, 285-7859, 285-3593, or send an email to customersupport@lucilec.com for assistance. Lucilec encourages you to use the available options for doing business with us remotely.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Are you tired of going from doctor to doctor, spending time and money, yet still not getting the answers you need? Now, at La Clinique du Corps Diagnostic Center of Excellence, we bring you the latest in medical technology, our state-of-the-art radiation-free full-body MRI. With unmatched accuracy, we can detect illnesses early, giving you the answers you deserve and the treatment you need, saving lives and saving money. No doctor referral needed. Results in just 24 to 48 hours. Plus, a free consultation with a doctor to explain all your results in detail. Don't wait. Take advantage of this special offer and book your full body MRI at our Cocoville, Rodney Bay, or Castries locations. Call 451-6559 now. La Clinique du Corps. Your health is our priority.
Watch this view here. If you missed it, yeah, itchy nose.
The St. Lucia National Cricket Association Prime Minister's Cup is back. It's going down at 4 venues: PI, Philip Maslet Grounds, Groseley, and Mindu Philip Park. Games will be played both day and night. Will the champions Groseley defend their title, or will we see a newly crowned champion this year? Teams taking part: last year's champion Groseley, runners-up Central Castries, South Castries, Babano, Monrepo, Mikud, Soufre, Viewport North, Viewport South, Denry, Choiseul, Babia Valley, and Deriso. This tournament bowls off on February 18th with defending champions Groseley coming up against Babano at 7 p.m. on the Groseley playing field. Games will be played from 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. Come out and support your favorite team. It's the St. Lucia National Cricket Association Prime Minister's Cup coming to a venue near you. Who's gonna emerge champions this year?
I've seen you here before, and I have something special just for you. What have we here? Happy housewarming to me? That's the MNC Home Depot rewards card. You'll earn points every time you shop, plus exclusive savings and promotions just for you.
Just for me?
Yes, just for you. Shop in store or online and enjoy a seamless experience.
So I get to treat myself every time I shop?
Exactly. It's time to reward yourself.
MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt Rewards Card. Sign up and reward yourself today at www.mnchomedepot.com.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We'll take at least 2 more calls and go through some of the comments in the chat room. Amanda, you could do us the honors.
And NewsSpin says there the skills of Mr. St. Rose would be better used in so many other areas in government. He does not have to be a constituency representative. Another comment reads: the hospital, the airport, the ports, the Burnens land, healthcare, education, roads, gas prices, food prices, 2.5% tax, and what about the crime? I could go on and on. $1.5 billion and nothing. Where did that money go to, and can we get it back? Labour, if you're not seeing that, then you all are a bunch of rocks. Wake up and leave people. It's been 4 years. Someone says there, this Barbados PM is such an example of country before party, standing strong against any obstacles that may try to fade her country. How many Caribbean prime ministers will come out and make such a fearless decision? Some Caribbean prime ministers are afraid of losing one side of their shoes. Do you think it's their connection with the US they will want to lose? Another commentary reads: the point is being overlooked. America never said you can't have Cuban doctors. What they are against is the fact that 2/3 of their salary goes to the government of Cuba. A NewsSpinner says here, that's the problem with the big babies in politics. Put on your big boy pants. Too often you all forget the mission because of your personal agendas. How can you all win an election when you are fighting against each other? It tells me that people like you all want to come into politics for personal gains. I said what I said. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. Let me see if I could go through some of your comments via WhatsApp, some of the contributions, via WhatsApp. And somebody says there via WhatsApp, please bear with me while we try to go through these comments. We're trying to get as many comments as possible as we're getting all set to conclude the broadcast. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, while the decline in unemployment is a positive development, We must recognize that the COVID-19 pandemic severely impacted our economy, leading to a contraction. The increase in tax revenue from low unemployment should ideally be reflected in investments in key areas. However, our healthcare system is deteriorating. Security remains a major concern, and the investment in road infrastructure is primarily short-term fixes, blocking holes rather than long-term solutions. And the person goes on to write that despite the increase in revenue, has the government invested in education, community development, and increased financial support for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises? The increased revenue could have assisted SLASPA in obtaining a loan to build our ports rather than awarding the contract to GPH, whose financials are questionable. Additionally, why aren't we seeing major infrastructure projects that can drive sustainable growth? The IMF has repeatedly cautioned about high public debt levels, urging fiscal consolidation and structural reforms for long-term economic stability. Addressing these concerns alongside critical infrastructure and fiscal management is essential to securing a prosperous future for St. Lucia. And let us see if we have another WhatsApp message to go through. And somebody says there via WhatsApp, good afternoon. What I've noticed about my present Prime Minister is that he's never proactive but always reactive. After everyone gives the opinion on a particular matter or subject, then he copies them and gives his statement. He should be the one to lead and not follow fashion. My take. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Person says, Mrs. St. Rose speaks of being professional. What he just said and did is highly unprofessional. He is very bitter and angry. Professionals do not behave in this manner. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, Doc, which government are you waiting to hear from? St. Lucia? No, you won't. And we have Mr. Elwin St. Rose is online via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you, sir. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello.
Mr. Poleon.
Mr. St. Rose, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you. I don't want to drag your very effective, successful program into mud. So I'm not willing to go on a back and forth with men who seem to have forsaken or sold out every bit of integrity they should have as leaders. First of all, I want you have my permission, and I am on air, to tell Mr. Prudent, release the information where I call for that meeting. That's number one. Number two, my two brothers were there with me in Grosile for a reason, because I don't trust these politicians. They are the reasons why everybody believes politics is such a bad thing. Mr. Poleon, Mr. Prudent never told me that they were favoring Mr. Fide, never. And when I said to him that I was hearing that they were favoring Mr. Fide, he jumped up and said he will never be bullied. There is a process and everybody must go through it. If they were favoring Mr. Fide, Mr. Poleon, don't let anybody fool you. Why did Mr. Fide have to go to ancillary, go to be interviewed and to make a presentation? Mr. Prudent told me that the same process applies to everybody. He never indicated to me. And the idea that I bullied my way, trying to bully my way, I spoke about my undergraduate degrees. I don't even speak about my undergraduate degrees. I have two, one in history, one in theology. That doesn't qualify me to be a politician. So the idea that I was talking and bragging about my degrees, I don't brag about my degrees. They speak for themselves, whatever they are. So all I'm saying to you, Mr. Poleon, I want Mr. Prudent to release the information he has that I call for the meeting at Coco Palm. Tell him, don't be afraid. I hope he's listening. Release it. Because what I said to Mr. Prudent, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, I have never touched drugs, so I'm pretty coherent. What I said to Mr. Prudent, Mr. Poleon, is that if I am coming down for the interview and the presentation, is it possible that I also meet with the Executive Council at that time? Because instead of me coming down, have the presentation and the interview in ancillary, and then I have to come back down to have the meeting in Castries with the National Executive, that's the only thing I ask him. please, please, please ask him to release the information, and we will see on which head the lion crown fits.
So, can we agree to just move on since you have decided to contest the seat as an independent candidate and the United Workers' Party has already endorsed Mr. Dominic Fede as the candidate?
Of course, Mr. Poleon. But here's why I'm going to respond. I am not going to sit down, not here, not in America, not in England or Canada, and let people lie on me for nothing. Why are they slandering me? Why are they putting the blame on me when the blame should be on them? Why are they slandering me? I am not into maple politics. For the past 7 months, I go to places to meet people. I don't talk about Mr. Fede. I don't talk about Mr. Girard. I want the people to know me. I am one of the chiefest proponents of no maple politics. Let's speak to policy, and you and I have said that many times. I do not appreciate the fact that they are calling your programs last night and today to present me as a liar when I have never lied on anybody. So yes, to your point, we should move on. But I'm not going to let any operative from the party, leadership or otherwise, lie on me. I cannot do that, Mr. Poleon.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for calling the broadcast. Our NewsSpin question of the day. The NewsSpin question of the day reads, what say you to the SLP's low unemployment figures? What say you to the SLP administration's low unemployment figures? And the NewsSpin news of the day. It reads, Iran's President Trump, I will not negotiate. Do whatever the hell you want. The NewsSpin news of the day reads, Iran's President Trump, quote, I will not negotiate. Do whatever the hell you want. End of quote. That's the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, NewsSpin. My name is Timothy Poleon. Goodbye.